Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today, for Parsha Light, we're going to look at the first pasuk. If we were in Shul and they were reading from the Torah on Shavuos morning, the first pasuk in the middle of Parshas Yisro, we read the 10 Commandments on the first morning of Shavuos. And for our shul, we will not have any minyan at all. However, I believe we're going to have Morty tomorrow evening about 7 o'clock or so. I have to check the time, who's going to read the 10 Commandments and do a Yisker service. But on your own, you'll be able to look at the psukim over here. So I want us to look at 2 psukim today. The first 2 psukim that will be from the Torah reading. And then we're going to do as many Rashis as we can. Again, I've over-prepared, and we'll try to get as many lessons as possible. And again, the main thing we're trying to accomplish is to be able to analyze the text and learn some beautiful lessons that come out of the Rashi and the commentaries that are explaining it. So with that in mind, we're going to be looking at the first 3 lines is Pasuk Aleph. I haven't figured a way yet to really be able to demarcate Sukkim here. But the first 3 lines is Pasuk Aleph, and the second 4 lines is Pasuk Beis. And we're basically in Parshas Yisro. The Jewish people have left Egypt already. We're a few days before the giving of the Torah at Sinai. And the Torah reading will discuss all of that, but first we have the prelude, as it were. And these will be the very first psukim we would normally read in Shul on Shavuos. Okay, so let's have somebody volunteer to read the first pasuk. Let's go with Steve, if you'd like to read the first 3 lines, please.
Sure. B'chodes hashlish letzeis b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim b'yom hazeh ba'u midbar Sinai.
You read every word perfectly. But the second word was a little bit, must have been a little letter you couldn't see. Want to try that second word again?
Hashlishi.
That's it. Okay. So really, there's not a lot of hard words in this pasuk. We can work on this and come up with most of the understanding. Okay, let's look at the first word. B'chodesh. What word do you know there?
In the month.
What? What's the word?
In the month.
In the month.
Yeah. Chodesh is a month. Beis is in the. Ba is in. Is the. Chodesh in the month. Shlishi.
6
In
months.
the
3rd month.
3.
Okay. Shlishi is for shlosha. Shalosh is 3rd. So Chodesh Hashlishi. In the 3rd month, okay? Now, what's the 3rd month? Well, we're going to have to see in a minute. Let's look at the next line, please. So let's have Jay read the second line. Read the second line again. I mean, although Steve read everything, let's just read the second line again.
They say B'nei Yisrael me'aretz Mitzrayim.
Okay, so let's say B'nei Yisrael. Well, we know what B'nei Yisrael is. Right? B'nai Israel is what?
children of Israel.
Children of Israel.
The children of Israel. And we know what May Eretz means.
From the land.
The land.
Of Mitzrayim. Okay. So now what's this word litzeis? What root do you see in litzeis?
Out of. Come out of.
I said we got to be a little closer to your mics so when you're speaking we could hear you. What was that?
Come out of. Out of.
Excellent.
What's the root? What's the Hebrew root?
Come out.
What's the 3-letter root?
Faith.
Well, you know what? We're missing one of the letters. The root is Yud, Tzadi, Aleph. As in Vayetze. Yetze means to go out. So B'chodesh Hashlishi on the 3rd month. So how are we going to massage this line? Litzeis b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Yisrael. How's that going to get? And the 3rd month
the children of Israel left Mitzrayim.
That's close. You have to just say a little bit more. On the third month, we're going to have to add, as the Jewish people left Mitzrayim. In the Lam, we've got to, make it sing, that it connects the clauses together. So it was on the third month from when the Jews left Egypt. Okay, what month is that? What month did the Jews leave Egypt? Which Hebrew month was it? What was the Hebrew month when we left Egypt was what?
Nisan.
Nisan. What's the second month? Iyar. What's the third month?
Sivan.
Sivan.
Sivan. Okay, so it's the third month when the Jews left Egypt. Okay, now let's go to the next line. Let's look at that line again. Okay, Yoshua, you want to read this third line, please?
Sure, Rabbi. Bayom hazeh ba'u midbar Sinai.
Okay, what's bayom mean?
In the day,
Okay, good, but now we have to put it together with hazeh. What's zeh?
this day, in this day,
So, or in this day,
they
ba'u,
come.
they came.
They came in the wilderness. Wilderness, from the wilderness Sinai.
Well,
Wilderness Sinai.
they came to the Midbar Sinai. So on this day, they came to the Midbar Sinai, the Sinai Desert. Okay, so let's recap the information. What happened? It's the third month after they left Egypt. On that day, they came to the desert of Sinai. Okay, is there anything in this pasuk that you feel needs more clarification? Is there something not clear? Is there something wrong with the pasuk? What's any thing that doesn't sing properly?
They say in this day, they didn't mention what is the day, right? So they say the third month.
So which word is troubling you, Yoshua?
Bayom hazeh. So in this day. So I don't know what is in this day means. What is the day?
Very good. What other word could it have used? Well, let's put it simply. What would be the simplest way to write the pasuk and get the same amount of information? What can we take out? What can we edit out of the text without missing any understanding?
B'yom hazeh.
Yeah, take out bayom hazeh.
And the other thing, Rabbi, why don't they just mention the month?
I took it out because the pasuk reads just as well. On the third month, when the Jewish people left Egypt, ba'u midbar Sinai. They came to the desert of Sinai. Right? What were you saying, Jay?
I'm wondering, why do they have to emphasize the third month? Why don't they just say in the month of Sivan, or even have no reference to the month?
Okay, well, that's a good question, but that wouldn't let us know. If it just said Sivan, you don't necessarily know which month it is. We know Sivan later.
Oh, okay.
Sivan is a month that came to the Jews. The names of these months came to us after we left the Babylonian exile.
Okay.
So in other words, if I would ask you, how do you say Sunday in biblical Hebrew? We'd say
Yom
Rishon. Okay, guess what? What do we call the first Hebrew month in biblical Hebrew? The first month.
Nisan.
Aviv.
No.
Aviv.
Chodesh Rishon. It's called Chodesh Rishon. Not a very exciting name, is it? Because you used to January, February, March.
Yeah.
So you figure in Judaism it should be the same. Nisan or Sivan. Honestly, these came way later. You're talking roughly like 900 years later. Do we know that it's called Nisan? Okay, that's another discussion for another time. Now, the question is, why are we calling it the third month? And what the Torah is trying to tell us a very important thing, that the Jewish calendar, everything has to do with two things. God's creation of the world, which was the first fundamental point of the religion, and the Exodus of Egypt, which is the second fundamental point of the religion. God created the world, and God maintains the world and supervises. Shabbos, Pesach, those two come together. And therefore, all calculations of the calendar are based on that. We don't have any specific names because their value is only insofar as the days of creation. When I'm saying this is Yom Rishon, it's going back to the creation. It's the Yom Rishon l'Shabbos towards Shabbos. That's letting me know there's a concept of Shabbos. And when we say Chodesh Rishon, all the months, the calendar is based on the Exodus from Egypt. So therefore, the months don't need names. They're just, when I say it's the first month, every time you say this Nisan is the Chodesh Rishon, you are reaffirming your faith that God took us out of Egypt in the month of Nisan. And when you look at the second month and you say it's the Chodesh Hasheni, it's the second month. It's the second month from when God took us out of Egypt. And this is the Chodesh Shlishi, the third month from when God took us out of Egypt. And therefore, what that is telling us is how important it is for us to remember this creation of the world plus Hashem taking us out of Egypt. And that's why it's incredibly important that we use these Hebrew names. That's helping us remember these facts by giving the names of the months based on going out of Egypt as the central point to work from. In other words, this reaffirms our faith in God and his control of the world when we use these terminologies. So for whatever reason that I don't have time to get into now, but when we got out of the exile from Babylonia, then we started using Babylonian names for the months, which is another discussion. Okay, but anyway, so it's the third month. Now, what is the Torah supposed to be doing? Why is it telling us the third month? Well, do I know what day it was on the third month?
Next day.
You don't? Wouldn't you like to know what day it was? Because, the Torah, if you'll read the Parsha, the Torah does, what day is Shavuos in the Hebrew calendar?
Sivan 6.
The 6th of Sivan is Shavuos. Now, how do we know that? Well, somehow we got to know it from the Torah, don't we? How else would we know it? Well, guess what? Nowhere in the Torah does it say that we got the Torah on the 6th of Sivan. Honestly, the truth is, and this is a discussion for another time, I'm just going to throw this out at you and let you ponder this. The truth of the matter is, we got the Torah on the 7th of Sivan. The Sinai revelation was on the 7th of Sivan. But we celebrate the 6th of Sivan.
Is it because the Jews slept on 6th when they gave the Torah?
I'm sorry, Jews what?
Is it because the Jews slept, when Hashem gave?
No. They slept the night of the 7th. But it's a discussion. But either way, how would we know what day it was unless we have some information of when they were there? We know a lot of things as we get through discussion, but the starting point is we have to know when they came to the desert of Sinai. We don't know when they came to because all it's going to tell us in the next psukim. And the next day Moshe did this, and the day after that Moshe did that, and then Hashem said we should prepare ourselves for 3 days. So we have to know where the starting point is, and then we can pick it up and count the days. This is way beyond what we can do tonight, but we at least have to have a starting point. This doesn't seem to be a very specific starting point. It just says B'chodesh Hashlishi on the third month when the Jews went out of Egypt. It really would be helpful to know what day that is, what it is. So that's a problem. And we mentioned the second problem. What's this Bayom Hazeh? On that day, Bo Midbar Sinai, we could have at least said something either like Bayom Hahu. Zeh, there's difference between, if you use the word Bayom Hahu means on that day. What does Bayom Hazeh mean? Exact. What does it mean?
On this day?
On this day. On this day. Now, when would you use the term this day when you're talking about an event? Like, at what point would you say it? No.
Might be the exact day when they left from Egypt.
I mean to say, would you be talking about the past or the present? When
after
you
say
say
the date.
this day.
Right after you say the date.
It's the present and it's very special. Something happened on that day.
I understand, but we're reading this. The Torah is being written as a historical account, right? It's a historical account, correct? When you are giving over a historical account, I'm telling you a story, guys. On the third month, when the Jews came out of Egypt, on blank day, they came to the desert of Sinai. Are you going to say on that day or on this day when you're giving a historical account?
You say on that.
That day.
You'll say on that day. That is that. What's in between that and this?
This is present tense.
Yeah, it's like right now.
I think that is too far, but this means it's near, right?
It's right here.
Yeah, right here.
Or just like talking about an object.
Yeah.
I can have an object in front of me and an object a block away. How will I refer to the object in front of me? This object or that object?
This object.
This object. And the one that's far away is that object, right? Now, a date in time, we're learning Torah today. We're learning this pasuk today, 3,332 years after the event. And we're reading the Torah. The Torah is meant to be read every year. And we're talking about an event that happened a long time ago. So shouldn't we say, Bayom Hahu, on that day? Why are we saying Bayom Hazeh, on this day? Okay, you see the linguistic problem here? Okay, so we don't know what month it is. We don't know why it's on this day when it should be on that day. Okay, so now, now with that, we're going to skip a little and look at a Rashi. We're going to look at a Rashi, and then we're going to have to figure out how Rashi figured all this out. Words by Yom Hazeh. So guess Rashi is going to help us out over here. Okay, Kathy, you want to read a little bit of the Rashi here?
Sure. So he says, Bayom Hazeh, Barosh Chodesh, Lo Hayat Tzarich.
Okay, let's stop there. It's first two words already telling us a lot. What did he say?
Barosh Chodesh.
So when was it?
On Rosh
Beginning of the month.
Right.
Rosh
First day of the month.
Chodesh, first day of the month of Sivan. How did Rashi get that? I don't know. I know where he pulled that rabbit out of the hat. We're going to have to figure out how he figured that out, but he did. He's telling you right now it's Rosh Chodesh. How did he figure that out? I don't know. But now Rashi continues to get to the real point, because look, what's the title of the Rashi? What's the title of the Rashi?
Bayom
Bayom Hazeh.
That's what he wants to worry about. What's Bayom Hazeh doing over here? Why wasn't Bayom Hahu? Right? So he's telling you, first of all, it was Rosh Chodesh. Now we're going to get to the question. Kathy, continue. He's going to spell out the question now, Kathy. Continue reading, please.
Lo Hayat Tzarich Lichtov Ella Bayom Hahu.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It's not necessary to write.
Except, it's a double negative. Double negative. It's where Rashi talks about. He did not need to write it except Bayom Hahu. The better way would be Bayom Hahu, as we ourselves said, right? On that day, right? That's the way it should have been written. It's saying it in double negative. That's why, in English, we wouldn't say it this way. We'd say, it should have said Bayom Hahu. He used a double negative. Lo hayatzarich. It did not need to write Ella except. So it's a double negative. Often Rashi, it's that Talmudic parlance. But Rashi's saying it should have said Bayom Hahu. Read the next line, Kathy.
Mahu Bayom Hazeh.
What's he asking?
Why is it Bayom Hazeh?
Yeah, that's the question we came up with. Why is it Bayom Hazeh? Really, Rashi's answered he's analyzing both our questions. He's somehow told us it's Rosh Chodesh. How did he figure that out? I don't know. We'll find out soon. Okay, but the real question is the question we came up with. Why does it say Bayom Hazeh? Why did it say, it should say Bayom Hahu? So this is all the Talmud says, a beautiful, beautiful answer. Okay, let's see. Let's give Janet. You want to read the next line?
Sure, I'll try.
Go ahead, just read it. Don't worry, you don't have to explain it.
Shehu divrei Torah hadashim alecha.
Okay, very good. The first word, let me help you pronounce it. You missed some of the grammar classes we had way before you joined us.
I did.
You. I don't know if over the Zoom, my diction is clear. You. Divrei Sora. Why? Oh, by the way, the oldies here, I don't mean in age, but in the class, why does it say Torah? Why does it say Sora and not Torah? Remember the magic rule?
Ahave.
That's right. After the letters Ehavi, Aleph, Hey, Vav, Yud. Remember? Look what's before it, a Yud, with also a large vowel, the A, and the dot drops out, right? So it fits in Rashi too. Okay, now, what does Rashi want to say? Shiyu Divrei Torah. What's Divrei Torah mean?
Words of Torah.
That's where Dvar Torah comes from. Dvar Torah comes from Divrei, words of Torah. Sheyiyu. What is yiyu? From Hoya means what?
Was.
Or the verb to be.
To be.
The words of Torah should be Chadoshim. What is the key root word there?
Holy.
Chadash. New.
Chadash,
Chodesh.
new. Very good. Chadash, new. New.
Oh,
What does that sound like? It sounds like Rosh Chodesh.
Hmm.
See the similarity? Rosh Chodesh, literally, Rosh Chodesh means a new head. Literally, the literal translation, we call it the Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month. But really, the first day of the month is the head, and it's a new month, it's a new head. You see, Rosh Chodesh. Rosh, head, Chodesh, or beginning. Chodesh really means new, but it'll mean month. So now, we have now here, so what we want, the words of Torah should be Chadashim. New. Alecha. What's Alecha mean? Al and Cha.
For them.
On you.
Upon you. That's good. Who said that? Good answer. Who said that? I don't know. Okay. It was Bosco, a voice from heaven, gave the answer. Okay.
We said it.
Who? You got?
Said it.
Okay, good. So the words of Torah should be Chadoshim Nu Alecha, upon you. Let's read the last three words. Janet, finish it up. You're doing so good.
Ka'ilu hayom nasanam.
Good. Okay, so that's a little tricky now. What's Hayom mean?
Today.
Today. Ke'ilu means as if. As if. Hayom today. Nisanam. What's the root of Nisanam?
No say.
Nasan. What's Nasan mean?
Give.
To give. Nisanam is given to them. That they were given. They were given. Kilu Hayom Nasanam. So let's put it together. That the words of Torah should be new to you as if they were given today. And that's why it says by Yom Hazeh. By Yom Hazeh. We're not looking, this event that we're talking about is not only 3,332 years old, and it's by Yom Hahu. It's by Yom Hazeh. It's this day, which means to say that every day is a Sinai revelation. That's how we have to look at Torah. Every day, God gives you the Torah anew. You have to look at the Torah. The Torah is not an ancient document that you read, a Hammurabi code, lahavdil, and some smart people came up with some smart ideas long ago. But really, it's a living document that is fresh, as vibrant today as it was the day that God gave the Torah. That's hinted to in Bayom Hazeh, on this day. On this day they came to Sinai, Rosh Chodesh, Sivan, 3,332 years from the story. This past Sunday, we came to Sinai, all of us. We came to Sinai on Sunday because we're coming to receive the Torah. Every day, the words of Torah have to be fresh and new. Why? For two reasons. Number one, anything that you look at as an old thing, you get bored with it, right? You get bored with something. I know it already. We look for new and exciting things. But the deeper understanding is the Torah was written by an infinite God who put infinite understanding in the Torah. And every day you look at a pasuk, you could see new ideas, and it's brand new ideas you never saw before. So many times I can look at a pasuk for 50 years, I think the pasuk means this, and I'm right, but there's 70 faces to the Torah. You can look at a pasuk again and see a whole new way of looking at the pasuk. Torah has to be fresh, as if the day it was given to you. You know, let's think about it. Let's go back, everybody, to your, I don't get too personal. No one has to answer anything. But you all know how long you're married, for those of you that are married. And you all know kind of how you feel about your spouse and your marriage. I don't want to know what you feel and what you think, but everybody knows. Now, go back to the wedding day. Go back to the wedding day. Try to remember that wedding day and how you felt. And you looked at your spouse. And if you're the man, you said, wow, I'm looking at the most beautiful woman in the world. The most thoughtful woman, the sweetest woman in the world. And the woman is looking at the man and says, wow, the most handsome guy in the world, the smartest guy in the world, the wittiest man in the world, the most pleasant man in the world. I hope you were thinking that on the wedding day. If you're thinking, oh man, what a loser I'm marrying, that will not be a good wedding day. That was by Yom Hazeh. That was on this day, this wedding day. Okay, now some of you are married 30 years last week. Some of you are married, like me, 41 years. Okay? Now the question is, I look at my wife. How do I see her? I look at my husband. Is it by Yom HaHuya on that day? On that day, she was a young bride. Today, it's old news. 41 years, kind of used material. There's nothing too exciting there. Or is it, you look into her eyes, his eyes, and it's like the wedding day. Now, let me ask you, who's going to have a better marriage? If you look and you say, wow, 30 years, old husband, beat up husband, all wrinkly wife, she's boring, he's not exciting. That could tend to happen. Or if you look back at the wedding day and you remember that every day is like the wedding day, which would be a better marriage? Well, guess what? Well, at Sinai, we got married to God. And the covenant of the marriage is this Torah. And therefore, we're being told that although we're going to read the story again, it's like every day, you have to look at the Torah as if Hashem gave it to you today. It's fresh. It's brand new. It's vibrant. And that's critical, because if you don't see it like that, what happens? You know, there is a nature of the human being. By nature, we're all wired this way. We like new things, right? You like new things. I know some of you ladies make great recipes. I mean, some of you, I'm sure, can make killer cheesecakes. But if you serve it every day, 365 years, people will say, I'm tired of this. I need something new. That's just the way life is. So if this Torah is just same old, how long, then let's start looking for Zen or something else. But if you realize that the Torah that you're learning today is a brand new Torah, and that's not just lip service to make you feel good. You really got to think about it. The spouse that you have really is a brand new spouse. Spouse comes with new experiences, interacting, like, let's put it this way. We're all going through this COVID-19. I would imagine that our spouses, we look at our spouses differently than we looked at them 2 months ago. I hope so, because you've had a real experience, and certain things should have changed, and there's certain vibrancy you hope to have seen. These are some of the silver linings of this. So that's how we have to see Torah. If we don't see Torah as something that's brand new and exciting, how long are we going to keep it? And to say that it's relevant, it's more than that. It's like brand new. How can, a lot of rabbis are having a lot of discussions. There's so many halachic issues now during this COVID-19. Issues that, did not exist thousands of years ago. And all these rabbis are discussing, should you go to shul, not go to shul? And that this is a brand new scenario. If honestly, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not the great historian here, but I don't recall an event in history that's paralleled what we've gone through here. I mean, you think about it. I mean, Nebuch, we've had holocausts, we've had pogroms, we've had lots of Jews die. We're used to that kind of stuff, unfortunately. But when was the last time the shuls were closed and it wasn't because of anti-Semitism? Like, that's something brand new. Now, how are we supposed to understand that? Well, we go back to this ancient book that is new as if the day it was given, and there's new application every moment. There are responses to halachic questions that were asked that were never asked before in the history of the world. And we coming up with answers based on this quote unquote old Torah. Because the Torah is an eternal document. And if it's an eternal document, the Torah is to explain existence for every single day of your life. And it's new and fresh because life is new and fresh. And the Torah I read today is a little bit of a different Torah than the Torah I read a year ago, because a year ago was a different day than it is today. And the Torah's application to the new situation is a new situation today, and it's like a new Torah, all based on the old Torah. You follow what Rashi's telling us this, based on the Gemara and Brachos. And that's all coming from that word, Bayom Hazeh. That's what that one little word is telling us. Powerful message. We're starting to read the Ten Commandments, and instead of saying, oh, okay, let's go back and hear the old story again, we're being told it's not an old story. It's a fresh, vibrant, new story. We all together, tomorrow night and Friday morning, are going to accept the Torah for the very first time again. And if we look at our marriages that way, we'd have amazing marriages. And if we look at the Torah this way, then there's a lot of excitement in learning Torah. Now, how did Rashi come up with all that? So we're going to fast forward a little bit and cheat a little bit, because I can't make us plow through so much Hebrew in one night. So that's where, when you get a little bit more sophisticated, there's a commentary called the Sifsei Chachamim, which is the premier commentary on Rashi. And it's in Hebrew, but if we go through the Hebrew, it'll take us forever. So I got in the English and we could read it very quickly, and I'm going to see where Rashi got it from, based on a lot of information you would not know as novices. So he says, the first day of the month. So how does Rashi know it's the first day of the month? So he says Rashi knows this because here it is written by Yom Hazeh, right? And now if you would go back in time to the book of Shemos, to the very first commandment in the Torah, and it tells you, chapter 12, verse 2, you could look it up at home later. It talks about the first commandment that the Jews were given in Egypt is the Rosh Chodesh. That's the first mitzvah, to make Rosh Chodesh. That was the first mitzvah that was given to the Jewish people, even before Korban Pesach. And look at the wording over there, and there it is written, HaChodesh Hazeh. What happened? Hashem says to Moshe, Moshe, I want you to know there's an amazing mitzvah. It's called sanctifying the moon, declaring a new moon. And Moshe said, I'm not exactly sure what you mean. What's a new moon look like? So Hashem said, look up in the sky. And Hashem shows him the little crescent of the moon, that first little crescent. And Hashem said, HaChodesh Hazeh, this little new crescent, that's what Rosh Chodesh is. You with me? And that means it's the first day of the month. HaChodesh Hazeh, this month, like this, is the first of all the months, and it's the first time you're going to declare new months. So we have a principle in biblical exegesis, fancy word for drushes. I love that word, exegesis. That means how do we parse through the text and analyze it? And if it uses a certain word in one place and an identical word in another place, they're trying to show there's a similarity. So when God gave us the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, it was called HaChodesh Hazeh, this month. And what does it say over here? By Yom Hazeh, on this day. And that's God's little Morse code of saying that's Rosh Chodesh. You see how we got that? It says we came on this month, but it says by Yom Hazeh, on this day, which was not necessary, and now we understand that it is Rosh Chodesh. Okay, so that's how we understand that. And as well, there's a lot more, I don't have time to get into it, but, and from the extra word, and that's one point, but then by saying HaChodesh Hazeh, it could have said Hahu, we also know the word should be fresh for us. Powerful, powerful message. Okay, let's move on, and let's do one more pasuk and one more Rashi, and there's another beautiful, so many beautiful ideas. The only part I'm so sad at the end of every class is there's so many things I wanted to tell you that I ran out of time. So let's move on to the next pasuk, and now some questions shall be jumped. Let's make it clear. What did tell me the facts of the first pasuk? Just the facts now. The Jews left Egypt. It was on the third month. Now, has the Torah told us where they are now on the first day of the month? Where are they? First pasuk. Where? Hello? Did I lose you? The first pasuk. I'm not doing anything new. I'm going back. B'chodesh hashlishi, on the third month, let's say, the Jews came out of Egypt. Bayom Hazeh, on this day, Ba'u Midbar Sinai.
Sinai.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a really simple question. At the end of Pasuk Aleph, can you tell me where they are?
Sinai.
Not a trick question. Are they there already? Are they there?
No, they left. They just left.
No, they left Egypt. Where are they at the end of Pasuk Aleph? Where are they?
Har Sinai.
Yes, no, they're in Midbar Sinai, but okay, good enough. At the end of Pasuk Aleph, have we been told that they are in Sinai? Yes.
Yes.
I'm not asking any trick questions here. I know you think, what's he mean? It must be a harder question.
It's always a trick question.
It's like a grade 1 question. That's the
Midbar
best
Sinai.
way to learn Torah.
Wilderness of Sinai.
When you learn Torah, don't be so clever. Look at it like a 6-year-old and you'll be smarter. Okay? So they're clearly, on the first day, the Torah says they're in Sinai, correct? Good. Let's look at Pasuk Beis. Now that you got that solid, let's move on to Pasuk Beis. And who is it? Let's have Chaya. Chaya, do you want to read the next Pasuk for us, please?
I can try.
Good. That's all I'm asking you to do.
Veisu mevifidim
Good.
vayavu midbar Sinai vayachnu bamidbar vayachan sham Israel neged Chachor.
You read that beautifully. Beautifully. Now, let me help you guys with some words to make it fair. The word Refidim is the name of a place.
What?
It's the name of a place. Refidim. Does
There is
anybody
a war happened between the Amalekites, right? So the
yes,
first war.
Refidim, going back to the Parsha before Bishalach, is when Amalek attacked the Jews. Remember Amalek attacked the Jews? And Moshe sends Yoshua to fight against Amalek, and he picks his hands up, and they're able to destroy Amalek. That happened in the place called Refidim. Okay? That was in the Parsha before. That happened a few weeks before.
Parsha Beshlach.
Yes, the Parsha before. Okay? So let's look. Vayisu. What's the root of Vayisu? Is Nun, Samach.
They went around.
No. Nasa means what? We had that in Chumash a while ago.
Traveled.
Travel. What's Vayisu? Vav Yudu?
And they traveled.
They travel around.
No, not around. That's not what it means. I'm sorry. It means just they traveled, Yeshua, not traveled around. That's a different word. Vayisu, and they traveled Refidim.
From
Refidim. They traveled from Refidim. Now the next line is really easy. Vayavo'u. Look at all these Vav Yudus, one after the other. Vayavo means and what?
and they came.
And they came
Midbar Sinai.
to the mount,
The desert of Sinai.
Yeah.
Okay, let's read the next line. I don't have to tell you one word now. The root, ches, nun, hey, means to make camp. To encamp. That's a new word. You haven't had that. So what does vayachanu mean?
And they camped
Bamidbar.
in the desert.
In the desert.
In the wilderness, yeah.
Okay. And the last one, vayachan. Same root, same word.
They camped there.
Camp.
I know, but what's vayachan? Vav yud, not vav yudu.
And
And what? And he camped.
they can. Oh yeah.
No. Vayachanu in the line before was and they camped. This is
And
vayachan.
he can.
And he camped. Sham,
There.
there, Yisrael.
Israel.
Oh, so the Vav Yud is describing Yisrael. And Yisrael, he camped there. Neged Hahar. Neged means opposite the mountain. Okay, let's unpack this pasuk, and we don't know our front from our back from our side. Now we translate the words, now let's try to make sense of this. Now remember, the pasuk before told us what day were we talking about? What day are we talking about? What's the day of the month?
First of Sivan.
Chodesh Sivan. And what happened? They came to Mount Sinai, the desert of Sinai, right? They're there. Now, the next pasuk says, and they traveled from Refidim. When was that?
So I think there is a war happened between that.
I know a war happened with Amalek, but when did that happen? That happened a couple weeks earlier. Why are you telling me something that happened a couple weeks earlier after you tell me they came to Sinai? Where should that clause have been?
Previous Parsha.
Well, you know where it should have been? Somewhere over here. Somewhere before this pasuk. The first pasuk, no? It should have said they left Refidim. You don't say on the third, on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, they entered Sinai, and they go back to the next pasuk says, and they left Rephidim. What do you mean they left Rephidim? They left Rephidim before they came to Sinai. You see the question?
Yes.
Now, we have only begun the questions. Now, in the first pasuk, do we already know that they're in Sinai?
Yes.
So what's the next clause? Vayavo midbar Sinai. They came to the midbar Sinai. I already know that in the pasuk before. You see the second question? Vayachanu b'midbar. Okay, they camped in the desert. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. We haven't had that yet, have we? That's okay, right? But now what's the next clause? Now, let me ask you, have they...
So why they say they have camped, and next verse says he camped there.
Yeah,
so
what's
whether
going on?
it's referring to Hashem,
right?
He camped
First
there
of all,
means...
right. First of all, it already told me they camped there, right? They camped there, yeah. So why does it say again? And Yisrael camped there, and why is it in the singular tense? Do you see that Vayachan? Vayichan means and he, and who's the he? Yisrael. Wait a minute, Yisrael, are we talking about one fellow, the name Yisrael, or the Jewish people Yisrael? Who are we talking about?
Jewish people.
The Jewish people. Why does it say Vayachanu again? See, once you know a little bit of grammar, it becomes very, very problematic. Do you see all the problems in this pasuk? Now, if you look at the art scroll, you wouldn't notice anything. Nothing against art scroll, but they're just trying to make you read the pasuk in English and get through it. So let's look at all the problems with this pasuk. Let's recap. We already know from pasuk Aleph that they are in Midbar Sinai on the first day of Sivan. Now the next was is, and they traveled from Rephidim, which happened a couple of weeks before, out of order. Number two, and they came to the desert of Sinai. You're repeating yourself. Vayachanu b'midbar, they camped in the desert. Really, it didn't have to say b'midbar, just say vayachanu. Where else are they going to camp if not in the desert? They're in the desert already. Where else are they camping? On the Kinneret? You understand? Why say this word at all? Just say vayachanu. You know what you can do? Do it simple. Vayachanu neged ahar. They camped opposite the mountain. That'd be nice new information. You see how many extra words and words that are out of order, and words just don't belong, and words that have repeated? Wow, we got a lot of problems, don't we? Well, Rashi addresses them. And I'm sorry, time is running out, so I have to hustle it. Okay, I'm sorry. So I got to take over a little bit because I've got a whole 10 minutes and I got a half an hour of material to tell you. And I can't leave you with all these questions. So let's start with the last. I'm going to have to skip the bigger Rashi, but let's look at this one. Vayichan Sham Yisrael. See where I'm pointing?
Yes.
Why is the Torah referring in the singular? Famous Rashi. Ke'ish echad, like one man, belev echad, with one heart. The Torah is describing the Jewish people in the singular tense because they now were like one person. Now, you know, you put two Jews together, you get at least 3 opinions. This is the only time in Jewish history where you had 600,000 Jews and they had one heart and one opinion. And look what Rashi says after that. Avol but she'ar kol achinios, all the other encampments, bitaromes, were with grievance, ubemachlokes, and with strife. This was the one time we were totally unified. The one time we were totally unified. Now that's an important message. Now, to make sure I get the thing I really want to get in, I'm going to have to skip this middle Rashi, although it's a wonderful Rashi, but I'm just going to have to skip it. And I'm going to take you further on That's what the Sifsei Chachamim explains in the Rashi here. Look, I'm going to point it out. Well, I don't want to bother with that. Let's go straight to the commentary, the Orach Chaim HaKodesh. Remember, the great Sephardi Rabbi Chaim ben Attar. Rabbi Chaim, the son of Attar. And, he's called the Orach Chaim. Whenever you say his name, you give him the appellation of HaKadosh, the Holy One. We always call the Orach Chaim HaKadosh because he was a very holy man. Incredible stories. I don't have time to tell you any of them today. But incredible tzaddik, medieval scholar. And he reviews these questions and says a tremendous idea. He says, let's scroll it up. He says, this position of this verse is peculiar. It's going to repeat what we said, basically. We've already heard in verse 1 that the Israelites arrived in the desert of Sinai. Why did the Torah repeat it again? Since the Torah repeated the arrival of the Israelites in the desert of Sinai, why does the word vayavo, what does the word vayavo, and they came, add to our understanding? If they already were there. Number 3, why did the Torah have to add, and they camped there? What else were they supposed to do there? Now, also, he kind of mentioned in the first line, when it says they journeyed from Rephidim, the position of the verse is peculiar. As we said, Rephidim happened before. So look what he says, one of my favorite Dvar Torahs on this Parsha. He says, I believe the Torah wanted to acquaint us with 3 steps which were essential in the preparation to receive the Torah. And what they did is something we have to do also. God became willing to entrust the Torah to the Jewish people as an eternal inheritance after they had taken these 3 steps. In other words, on Shavuos, really, we could start the Torah reading from the 10 Commandments. Just start from the 10 Commandments. Why do we start the chapter before? And these 2 psukim especially. And God is hinting to us that there were 3 special things the Jews did. And without these 3 special things, they would not have merited to have the Torah. What are they? The first step was for the Israelites to get a grip on themselves and study the Torah diligently. Laziness is like a weed which leads one to forfeit whatever achievements and Torah insights one has acquired. You'll observe that whenever God mentions the Torah, he's careful to use attributes as strength, intensity as well, fortitude and vigor. He gives a whole bunch of examples, but you have to really work hard to study Torah. That's an important rule of studying Torah. You got to give it all you got. Now, what do we know about Rephidim? Rephidim was named Rephidim because it's an acronym of the Hebrew words Rafa Yedeim Min Torah. Their hands were weak from Torah. Why was Amalek able to attack the Jews? Because the Jews were slacking off in their study of Torah. After they sang the song at the Sea of Reeds, they took it easy. They weren't learning for 3 days. And when we don't learn Torah, Amalek attacks. So the name of the place is called Rephidim because it's a contraction of their laziness in Torah. So look what it's saying. It said, we know they're in Sinai, but the Torah is saying what? And they left from Rephidim. If the Torah wanted us to know from which location the Israelites journeyed toward the desert of Sinai, this would have had to be said at the beginning of verse 1. The Torah meant that the Israelites put some spiritual distance between their neglect of Torah as demonstrated at a place called Rephidim and their renewed progress toward receiving the Torah. You hear what's going on? The Jews, they came to Sinai, and the first preparation is they distanced themselves from the attitude they had at Rephidim of being lazy in Torah. That was the first step. You want to receive the Torah, you can't be a lazy bum. So that's the first step of preparation, and that's what the Torah means when it says that they came to the desert of Sinai, repeating it, saying, now we're worthy for the Torah at Sinai. That's step number 1. You understand? Vayisu, they left existentially from a weakened state of Torah to one of effort and alacrity. The second step with Israel had to take in preparation was modest and humble. Our sages say that when people are humble, can be certain that they will not forget their Torah knowledge. Okay? And the words of Torah do not, the Talmud says, the words of Torah do not endure except with a person who humbles himself like the desert. Now that's why it repeats, and they came to the desert means they acted like a desert. They had humility. Because we already know they were, again, geographically in the desert, but now they were existentially like a desert. They were humble. And the third teaching is that they came together with one another. There was unity and connecting with a full and whole heart, not to be separate from each other. As for the Talmud teaches us based on the words of Jeremiah, that when people study alone and they don't work together to come to a unified understanding, it's a terrible thing. You don't grow in Torah when you learn alone. You don't grow in Torah if you say, I'm going to learn my Torah and I disagree with what that guy learns in Torah. We have to be unified and to know the will of God. That is why the Torah uses the singular word, because all the Israelites became like one person and now they were ready to receive the Torah. So let's go back to the pasuk really fast. 60-second wrap up. Back to the pasuk. Okay, so Vayisum Refidim means first step, they traveled away, they distanced themselves from laziness in Torah. Vayavo Midbar Sinai, they came to the desert of Sinai, they acted like a desert, humble. They camped there, but Vayichan, and the singular, they came with unity. And now that all three preconditions exist, the next pasuk Hashem says, okay, now I'm going to start talking to you about receiving the Torah. And that's what has to happen every year. Every year we have to realize we're receiving the Torah fresh, number one. Number two, it's really started on Rosh Chodesh on Sunday. We entered the desert, as it were. And to receive the Torah on Friday morning, we have to existentially leave the laziness. We have to plug away and work as hard as we can to understand the Torah. We have to make ourselves like a desert, humble, no arrogance, whatever the message is. I'm going to take it. And you got to be caring about fellow Jews. The Torah is only a Torah if you're learning the Torah in a way that how am I going to be connected to other Jews and to be unified with other Jews. It's so important now. You know, it's soon going to be that Jews can come back to shuls. And the Satan knows that it's going to be an amazing thing if all the Jews go back to shuls. So what is the Satan doing? He's getting all these different opinions. Some rabbis say, go to the shul. Another rabbi says, don't go to the shul. People want you to join their backyard minyan. And you say, I can't because my rabbi said not to go to the backyard minyan. And they say, what's wrong with you? Aren't you my friend? And this and that. And people say, this shul is irresponsible. The other one says, this shul doesn't care about God. This and that. The Satan wants to dance. So that we come back to the shuls, we won't be united. So that's why this pasuk says, we have to run away from laziness. We got to make, and it's a lot easier to be lazy when you're going to be home alone on Shavuos. You got to run away from the laziness. We need a lot of humility. And that way we'll be united with each other, and only then can we receive the Torah. And that's the contemporary message of 2020. So Hashem should help us to succeed with an amazing Shavuos. And you have some beautiful divrei Torah to say at the table with the kids. So I wish you all a pleasant Shavuos. I got to go now to the Rambam class. And tomorrow there's still more exciting things to get ready for Shavuos. Have a good night. Thank you all for learning. Erev Shavuos, it's mamish unbelievable. Great reward. I know, ladies, you could be cooking and doing a lot of things. And learning Torah, Hashem should bless you to quickly be able to do all the cooking without any snags. And it'll go very quickly and you'll be able to be ready for Yom Tov time. Okay. Very good.
Amen.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shkoyah.
Okay, Zai, take
Thank
care.
you.